Tonight, power to the people. WA voters in charge of the state's political future, set to make or break careers in the halls of Parliament. Mark McGowan adds some star power in the suburbs. Roger Cook's Labor wanting to paint the town red again. Libby met him hoping voters have an appetite for change. Democracy coffees, fry-ups and desserts across Perth's election battlegrounds. Also tonight, Cyclone Alfred downgraded as it hits the east coast, but residents warned it's far from over. And mystery solved, Gene Hackman's cause of death revealed.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Angela Tsun.
Good evening. West Australians are waiting to see what the next 4 years will look like. Today they decided about who will lead the state and whether Labor's dominance in the West is now finished or if there'll be another Liberal bloodbath. The polls have just closed, the ballot boxes are being opened and now the counting starts. James Carmody begins our coverage.
The morning rain was short-lived, but the long reign of WA Labor all but confirmed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You can turn your cameras off now.
The pundits and pollsters confident today's vote will cement what they've long been saying.
Well, look, I'm overwhelmed by the support that we've received from the WA community.
But political predictions have been wrong before, and Libby Metham is hopeful that is just the case.
Absolutely, yeah, looking forward to it.
The Liberal leader willing voters to have an appetite for change.
It's just I want to give them a chance. Let's see how it works out this way.
And an appetite for Liberal Party promises.
Housing, cost of living, health and crime are all major issues.
The party desperate to bring blue ribbon city seats back into the fold. It's Churchland's candidate, often the centre of campaign attention from both sides. Labor's Basil bashing was kept up till the end.
They have thrown the kitchen sink at me. They have absolutely loaded up and thrown the kitchen sink at me. I'm very fortunate that we're pretty resilient in the Zemplis household. We're pretty used to it as well.
Many see today's ballot not about whether the Liberals can win, but about how much less they will lose by this time around.
In these times of global uncertainty, you need a steady hand at the wheel. You need experienced leadership, and only WA Labor can provide that leadership.
The Premier wants to prove the 2021 result wasn't just all about this man, his predecessor.
How big you're heading?
The 31st Premier, having ascended after WA's COVID king, Mark McGowan, bowed out, tired, in the middle of his second term. In the aftermath, Mr Cook, the long-serving loyal deputy, navigated a snubbing by his own union, who backed Amber Jade Sanderson for Premier. Roger Cook managed to rally the rest of Labor around himself. Today's vote, his chance for the Cook government to step out from the massive McGowan shadow.
It is nice to say.
While both shades of green were also doing battle at the booths in metro seats.
Jeremy Miles for the Nationals Party.
With the Nats hopeful their city cousins will follow country voters in a revolt against Labor, anchored on sheep, guns and the cultural heritage laws. Shane Love soon to surrender his title as official opposition leader, assuming predictions are right and the Libs win back a bag of seats. Just how many could be tonight's true test.
Good luck everyone, thank you very much.
Yeah, all the best mate, see you this evening. Go well.
James Carmody, 7 News.
Voting early is fast becoming the preferred option. Almost a third of West Australians already picked their preferred candidate ahead of today. But for those who waited, the democracy trimmings didn't disappoint. Lockie Byrne reports.
Who to vote for? Not the only big decision today. The 2025 democracy menu spanning far further than the humble sausage.
Cupcakes, biscuits, anything with sprinkles and colourful frosting tends to sell well.
Democracy coffees, fry-ups, desserts, all rations needed across the election battlegrounds.
My teams will be campaigning right up until 6 o'clock tonight.
The promises have been loaded, shots fired between parties, but in the 11th hour today, the big guns went on the charm offensive.
I'd love you to take one of these. Hello.
Trying to swing the many who came in undecided. It was a pretty straightforward process for some.
Who'd you vote for? I put Basil Zemplis number 1 for Churchlands.
Didn't need a how to vote card. No. And certainly in the upper house.
And for others,
it's my first time voting and I'm 20 years old. Long line, waiting a while, but not too bad. I thought it would be more difficult, but it was pretty straightforward. It says it on the paper.
Cost of living, housing and health high on the list of priorities. But as always, everyone had their own reason.
Education?
Probably education, schools would be the main thing.
The environment and women's rights.
As a person in the construction industry, I want to know where the next jobs are.
Wasn't really that interested, just wanted the sausage, to be fair.
It's the ultimate incentive, but about a third of registered West Aussie voters decided to skip the snag and head to early voting polls across the last 2 weeks. Almost 560,000 had their say in advance. More than 1.8 million people were registered to vote as of last month.
We're certainly hoping that it will be an improvement on past elections where we've seen a decline in voter turnout. I get the sense from demand today, which has been very strong, that a lot of people wanted to have their say at this election.
Every man and his dog showing up as WA decides. Lockie Burns, 7 News.
By this time tomorrow, WA should know who's running the show, but tonight it's a nervous wait to see if this election will be a repeat of 2021's landslide. James Carmody is at Labor HQ and Lockie Byrne is with their rivals in Liberal Heartland. First to James Carmody in Medina. James, is Tim Cook feeling confident it's done enough to get across the line?
And that really depends on where you draw that line. Labor is expected to lose some of the seats won in 2021, but just how many seats can change hands before a Labor victory is considered less than a victory? If you ask the people wearing red Labor t-shirts starting to trickle into the Medina Hall here, they'll tell you Roger Cook and his team have absolutely done enough to get across the line with a strong WA economy and a grand vision for WA's future. But the opposition has done their best to try and paint Roger Cook as a failed health minister who can't get the state's hospitals or ambulance ramping under control and who bungled the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act. Just how many voters agree with that is yet to be counted, but one thing that is sure is that the people soon to mass into the hall here are confident that they'll be celebrating when Roger Cook arrives tonight. Ange.
Well, time will tell, James. Thank you. Now to Lockie Byrne in Cottesloe. Lock, the Liberals are hopeful of a better result.
That's right, Andrew. Well, of course, the biggest shock of the 2021 result was the usually safe seats that the Liberals lost. The party now confident they can get their hands back on them. Kareen, led by Liam Staltari, considered to be a young star of the party. Nedlands, led by former military serviceman Jonathan Huston. And Churchlands, of course, led by Basil Zemplis. All former blue ribbon seats that are expected to return to the blue. Kalamunda, Kingsley and Fremantle are among a few that could also be hotly contested, but they will need bigger swings for those seats to come back their way. Libby Medham is expected to be opposition leader in earnest tonight, but her security in that role is not guaranteed in the long term. Pundits predict that her leadership could be challenged eventually by Basil Zemplis. How long that takes after the dust settles is the question, but for now the party will be very happy to undo some damage and of course have their say in WA Parliament. Ange?
Lockie, thank you. 7 News will bring you the results as seats are won and lost. Tim McMillan is in election mode at our WA Decide studio. Tim, what can we expect tonight?
Yeah, hi, Ange. Well, almost certainly a Labor victory, but what will make this count interesting is just how many seats Labor and Liberal win. The landslide of Mark McGowan will dissipate, things returning to a kind of normal, but by how much? That's the question. Remember, even if the Liberals come away with 10 seats tonight, it'll still go down as their second worst defeat in history. We have our WA Decides Power Board driven by Hugh Whitfield and our statisticians crunching the numbers as votes are counted to call seats, and at 7 p.m. you'll meet our panel from Labor, Housing Minister and current member for Perth, John Carey, the Health Minister and Morley MP, Amber Jade Sanderson, the former Nationals leader turned federal candidate, Mia Davies, and the Lord Mayor of Perth turned Liberal candidate for Churchlands, Basil Zemplis. Also live from State Parliament with the inside word, we have federal Liberal MP Michaelia Cash and federal Labor MP and member for Perth, Patrick Gorman. So expect John Carey and Basil to deliver some fireworks tonight, Ange. It's sure to be entertaining. We're on from 7.
It sure will be, thanks Tim. Residents on the east coast are being warned the danger isn't over from ex-tropical cyclone Alfred. Despite being downgraded, the system ripped down trees and blacked out entire suburbs. Tonight it's still whipping up massive waves and dumping heavy rain.
It was Alfred's big onslaught.
Get out.
And that was just the start.
Where's the puppies?
A 30-metre pine crashing to this deck.
Holy
In a night of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, where the wind was wicked and the rain seemed wrong, not from above, but instead sheeting sideways.
That's the real force of Alfred starting to be felt there at Surfers Paradise, Max.
The noise is incredible.
At Labrador,
Overwhelmed.
Nadine Hartwig lost the lot. Her roof ripped off by angry Alfred.
Everything happened so fast and the police came in and grabbed me and pulled me out.
The Gold Coast is trashed. In places, the glitter strip is now somewhere between a wrecking yard and a fallen forest. Brisbane is no better, with damage to buildings and homes as well.
And it just kept leaning and all of a sudden it was like, you know, timber.
But the morning after the night before,
overall, I think the Gold Coast has got away with it, so we can only be thankful.
The coast was hardly clear, but could have been much worse.
It wasn't as bad as we expected it to be.
Boring! In Queensland, the news was somewhat good, and it was about to get better.
I can confirm that we've had no loss of life and we have no missing persons as a result of this flood event.
But in New South Wales, no such luck. A missing man swept from a car near Coffs Harbour.
Had driven his vehicle across a flooded bridge. The vehicle was washed off the bridge. He has been washed downstream.
If it's flooded, forget it.
From the Prime Minister,
evacuation centres is the big one.
At the National Situation Room,
very serious risks remain.
Today effectively is D-Day.
First things first, fixing this. Oh my God! More than 250,000 properties without power.
We have all hands on deck right now.
And power on as soon as we can. You're going to have to be patient. It could be several days before the power is restored.
In Lismore, here we go again.
Really, really anxious. We don't know what's going to happen.
Low-lying areas are already under, but the CBD is safe for now.
There's an enormous amount of resources in town,
including the Army.
There are a lot of uniforms on the ground, a lot of boots on the ground, and a lot of boats. I didn't see that in 2022.
Jesus!
Here in Byron Bay, we've had a bit of rain, a little bit of wind, but the clean-up is already underway. Even the coffee shops are back open.
First coffee in a few days, so yeah, going to lap that up.
And he wasn't the only one.
It was a fantastic coffee. What was the name of the cafe again?
As this weather begins to wear.
Cyclone Alfred. In the moment life can go back to normal, you bet it will.
And we'll be with you through this.
Max Futcher is on the Gold Coast for us tonight. Max, the winds are really picking up again there.
Yeah, they've been battering the Gold Coast all day, and attention now turns to that intense rainfall event that they're predicting over the next few days. 200 to 500 millimetres, more in some places, expected to fall over the southeast between now and Monday, and authorities fear widespread flooding. As for Alfred's legacy, more than 250,000 homes and businesses are tonight without power. It is now Queensland's largest single power outage caused by a natural disaster in history. Getting the power back for a lot of people is going to be a problem because they can't start the work until these conditions ease, so some people could be in the dark for days to come.
Max, thank you. The Army is on the ground in northern New South Wales where water levels are rising fast. Officials there say the next 24 hours are critical. And in developing news, this afternoon they found themselves at the centre of their own major emergency when 2 of their trucks crashed. 36 people were injured, 2 others trapped. Bill Hogan reports from Lismore.
The SES in action at Lismore, saving a driver who went off the road straight into floodwater. And here, another life saved, caught on a Tweed council camera. SES heroes rescue a doomed driver, while others were just lucky to escape. Alfred might be an ex, but in the north of New South Wales, waters are starting to rage and rise.
We currently have 131 warnings, 40 emergency warnings.
The flood at Lismore is threatening to get worse. Low-lying areas inundated, parks swallowed, outer businesses swamped, but the main part of the notorious flood town seems safe for now.
There is a threat of significant rainfall and flooding, particularly around the Lismore area over the next 12 to 24 hours.
Kerry Loveday lost everything in the 2022 flood disaster, the sight of rising waters traumatising.
Really anxious. We don't know what's going to happen. The prospect of losing everything again, we just won't do it.
Wouldn't like to see it come up any higher, for sure, because everyone in the town it's just too much.
Vincent Mary Church saved up to 75 people in the last big flood.
This is nothing on 22, in my opinion.
Ready for action, dozens of Defence Force trucks with 120 personnel.
They'll continue to support the SES with road clearance, sandbagging, clearing access.
Marine Rescue already deployed with state-of-the-art vessels, high clearance ambulances sailing along. And the SES goes out looking for even more trouble. Downed lines have killed power to 48,000 homes in the state's north, but it's too dangerous to send in repair crews.
The message, though, to the community is that you're going to have to be patient. We cannot risk the lives of those workers.
But help is coming.
6 generators are being loaded and are now on their way to Lismore.
And today, the appointment of a new disaster recovery chief.
3 main focuses for me will be around the 3 Rs. And that is the road network, that is rubbish removal and is resupply.
Gauging the situation for himself, the Premier on the front foot in Lismore, as his Emergency Services Minister gave the local member a boost at the levee bank. And while some slipped in a bit of turf boarding, this man has caused a social media storm, giving locals the full Alfie. Bill Hogan, 7 News.
A different kind of storm is brewing, this one over the upcoming federal election. The Prime Minister now facing a budget crunch. Details next. A man in a wheelchair hit by a car at a busy Perth train station. What the driver did next will shock you. Donald Trump doubles down on his spat with Ukraine's president. And later, the tragic mystery of Gene Hackman's death finally solved.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
Welcome back to a special edition of 7 News, live from State Parliament. Taking a look around the suburbs now, and this is what Election Day looked like in Naranda. Eager voters descended on the local primary school to cast their vote, and for that all-important democracy sausage afterwards. Naranda falls within the seat of Morley. Amber Jade Sanderson is hoping to remain as the local member. She's facing a challenge from Ashwarya Aswath's father, who's running as a Liberal candidate. His daughter died of sepsis after being made to wait too long in the emergency department at Perth Children's Hospital. A shocking crash has been caught on dashcam, showing a man in a wheelchair being hit by a car while crossing a designated crosswalk. It happened at Murdoch train station on Thursday afternoon. The man in the wheelchair has to pull himself up with help from members of the public. The driver doesn't get out of the car to assist. All the drama surrounding Cyclone Alfred has put an end to speculation the federal election would be called today. Instead, the Treasurer will now hand down the federal budget in 17 days, and a big deficit will be another huge hurdle for the Prime Minister.
Walking into a May vote.
Morning, everyone.
The Prime Minister wipes out speculation he'll call the election this weekend, once and for all.
The March 25 budget will be on March 25.
The election has to be held on or before Saturday, May 17. A March 25 budget means Anthony Albanese will have 3 weeks to call it, beginning a campaign that has to run for at least 33 days.
We're looking forward to handing down the fourth budget of this Albanese Labor government.
But after 2 budget surpluses, this time a deficit of more than $26 billion is forecast.
Jim Chalmers is a terrific communicator and he'll have a way to spin it, but it's pretty hard to spin the sea of red ink that we're going to see. Revenues from iron ore and coal outweighed by higher interest rates and increased spending. The federal government splashing $46 billion on cost of living support and tax cuts.
We've almost halved the deficit that we inherited from the Liberal Party.
As a Trump presidency.
Hello, everybody.
And growing global uncertainty compound budget pressure. Donald Trump's tariffs on our aluminium and steel come into place in 4 days' time. And so far, the federal government hasn't secured an exemption. Seven's election needle near the centre, but still pointing towards a Labor minority in a toss-up.
Thanks very much.
Donald Trump has taken another swipe at Ukraine's president, claiming Vladimir Putin is easier to deal with. Trump also defended the Russian president over a huge missile strike on Ukraine just days after the US cut off military aid and intelligence.
I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them.
It's not all rosy between Trump and Putin, however. The US president now threatening fresh sanctions and tariffs against Russia in a push to strike a peace deal. An unexploded World War II bomb brought trains to a halt across Europe. It was found near tracks at a major Paris rail hub, shutting down high-speed links with London and Brussels. Disposal experts were called in to move and defuse the 500-kilogram bomb, described by police as excessively dangerous. Up next on 7 News, a terror twist as a Jetstar hero tells all about his tarmac takedown. Tragic details reveal how Gene Hackman died. We'll cross live to Hugh Whitfeld, who's poised at the 7 News WA Decides Powerboard. And what happened on the tarmac at Bali Airport that caused long delays?
Want to find out who has the best footy brain?
Let's do this. Footy tipping with The Game. Thanks to Tab Touch, the top tipper wins $50,000.
It couldn't be easier. Just sign up, tip, and bask in the glory.
In your dreams, Abby.
It's game on. Sign up now.
This is 7 News live from State Parliament tonight. It's Election Day 2025 and a lot of people left their voting for today to enjoy democracy sausage. Let's take a look at our beachside suburbs. Firstly to Scarborough, it turned red by a big margin 4 years ago. The Labor candidate is the hot favourite. Cottesloe was one of the few seats that stayed blue and that isn't expected to change tonight. Now, the votes are being counted after polls closed around half an hour ago. Let's cross to Hugh Whitfeld, who's in our WA Decide studio tonight at the Powerboard, ready to call the first seats.
And if that predicted 13% swing to the Liberals comes off, there is a whole heap of seats that could turn blue tonight. We're looking at places like Churchlands, Warren Blackwood, Nedlands, Careen, Bateman, Geraldton, Scarborough, South Perth, Riverton, Albany and Kalgoorlie as well. But that lowest hanging fruit, of course, is Churchlands, where Basil Zemplis is the candidate who is hoping to take the seat off Christine Tonkin and turn her into a one-term MP. In Nedlands, sitting Labor MP Katrina Stratton is so concerned that she might lose her seat, will lose her seat. She's fleeing to the upper house, she hopes, and local teacher Mary Monkhouse is hoping that she can hang on to Nedlands for the Labor Party. But it is deep in Liberal heartland and it should turn blue again. Another one of these seats the Liberals should win is Careen, up in the western suburbs, part of that stretch along the beaches that should turn blue. Paul Lilburn likely to be a one-term MP as well. Former Young Liberals president across the country, Liam Staltari, is running there, hoping to make the leap into Parliament. Another one to watch as well is Forestfield, where there is a three-cornered contest shaping up. Stephen Price is chasing a third term in Parliament, but he won't just face a challenge from the Liberals' George Tilbury. You might recognise that name there, Ian Blaney for the Nationals. Now, he, of course, is a former multi-term MP for Geraldton. He's part of this push by the Nationals into metropolitan seats. They're running 20 candidates across the state. Will that pay off? Who knows? But another seat in the regions that is definitely in play tonight is Kalgoorlie, and that's where we are likely to see a real challenge for Ali Kent to hang on to her seat, with the Liberals' Rowena Olsen and also the Nationals making a real play. That could come down to preferences tonight, but it could be the case that the swing is patchy across the state. So we're going to be watching all those seats very closely to see what happens. Ange.
Hugh, thank you. Australia's peak counter-terrorism police have been called in to investigate the storming of a Jetstar flight by a teenager allegedly armed with a shotgun. They're working to establish what might have motivated him, while the rest of Australia has been rolling out the red carpet for Barry, the hero shearer.
Barry Clark's bravery is fast turning him into an Aussie legend.
We have a bit of royalty here. Clarkie saved 237 lives yesterday. He said one thing, he goes, it's just like a hard ball, you've got to go.
Who better to deliver pre-game inspiration to the Swans?
Play hard, play fair, and you will win.
The shearer giving a glimpse into his mindset as he tackled an accused gunman to the ground at Avalon Airport.
We've got to have humanity, and we've got to all, just realise the world we're living in and try and make it and be the best we can.
The humble hero now has meals named in his honour at a fast food restaurant chain.
For him to jump into action like that, he's just unbelievable.
Grateful to Barry, Jetstar and Avalon Airport have guaranteed him free flights for life.
They've probably worked out there's not much legs left in me, but I reckon there is. They don't realise how long we live in our life for the Clarks.
But it hasn't all been a first-class ride.
Code on the door was faulty, so last night I slept in my mate's accommodation. So I booked two nights accommodation and $1,200 and didn't even put my head on the pillow.
Plenty of lost sleep's been caused by Thursday's terrifying ordeal. Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke and the department are reviewing security at Avalon and other airports. Federal counter-terrorism officers are now working alongside Victorian police, investigating what led the accused 17-year-old gunman to do what he allegedly did. A court suppression order is preventing us from telling you more. There's no stopping the accolades for Barry.
Well done again.
No, thank you.
Rory Campbell, 7 News.
Investigators have solved the tragic mystery surrounding the deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa. Autopsies have confirmed she died first of a rare disease and he survived for another week.
The legendary actor died from heart disease complicated by Alzheimer's, but he was likely alive and confused for a week after his wife's death.
I can tell you that he was in an advanced state of Alzheimer's, and it's quite possible that he was not aware that she was deceased.
An autopsy revealed Betsy Arakawa died from hantavirus, a rare illness spread by rodents.
A small number of human infections are found every year in New Mexico.
On February 11, Arakawa was spotted at a pharmacy before returning to their New Mexico mansion. It's believed she died later that day. The last activity on Hackman's pacemaker was recorded on February 17.
He was in a very poor state of health. He had significant heart disease, and I think ultimately that is what resulted in his death.
The couple was discovered by a maintenance worker on February 26.
He had not eaten recently, no evidence of dehydration.
Their dog was also dead in her crate. Authorities believe the Australian Kelpie mix probably died from starvation. The couple was famously private, living at the end of a cul-de-sac in a gated community. A tragic end for the Hollywood star and his wife. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Up next, how paddle power is helping women ride the highs and lows of life, chasing waves while reaping the mental and physical benefits. A landing doesn't go to plan at Bali Airport, what it meant for passengers on board. Also, if you've ever wondered what music King Charles listens to, wonder no more.
And coming up in Saturday Sport, Hawthorn swoop on the Swans. Highlights next, plus Adam Simpson on whether Oscar Allen will re-sign with the Eagles, and the Dockers say they can still make a play for Chad Warner.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
Welcome back to a special edition of 7 News live from State Parliament. Tonight, the next 4 years for Western Australia will be decided. The real power brokers are the WA voters who descended on polling stations across the state. Polling booths have now closed, but this is how today played out in Midland. The seat has been held by Labor since 1996, but the Liberals' Mike Maddich, dubbed the Mullet Man, is hoping for an upset. Well, forget run clubs and group Pilates, surfing is fast becoming the new fitness trend for women. And to celebrate International Women's Day, a group of surfers paddled out for a powerful cause.
They're fast, they're fierce, and they're not afraid of a wipeout. These 3 women share a love of big barrels. Each has a different story on how they fell in love with surfing, but together the trio share the same beliefs on the mental and physical benefits.
This place has absolutely changed my life. If I'm having a bad day, I'll come here and just have a surf and I feel a million times better.
Mentally, it's like finding your flow on the wave is so incredible.
When you get into surfing, it's like a bubble and you don't realise that you're actually not thinking about anything else until you get out of the water.
Tanya Carroll is a mum of 6 and a grandma of 2.
I grew up on beaches in New South Wales, but never got into the water because it was a boys' sport. So I didn't actually start surfing until I started working here 5 years ago.
The 51-year-old is now addicted to chasing waves and is even a coach at Urban Surf.
Nothing beats that adrenaline rush and the want and the desire to keep getting it.
The sport is quickly becoming a new fitness trend with women.
Female participation at Urban Surf has gone from 21% in females a few years ago up to almost 40% now, which is unreal.
We've got so much a support network in a really safe and protective environment here.
And to celebrate International Women's Day, the avid surfers want to spread this message.
If you're interested in learning and a little bit worried, just rip the band-aid off, book it in and come.
Girls, ladies, anyone who identifies as a woman, you are stronger than you think and you'll go out there and have an absolute time.
What's running through your head? How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, just about to go out there and have an amazing time with the girls. The lineup is going to be incredible. We're just going out there to, surf and get the U on.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
Here in Perth, an International Women's Day was celebrated in the city with a pop-up shop to help women who are entering the workforce. Dress for Success provides clothes and career development, including help with CVs. Its goal is to support women achieve financial independence.
What we want to do is when they've come and seen us, the one thing that they don't need to worry about is what they're going to wear to that interview or to that first day of work or to that really significant life event they've coming up.
The shop will be at Rain Square until the end of the month. Well, there was chaos at Bali Airport this morning after a plane coming into land experienced technical issues. The aircraft remained on the runway, forcing it to close for around 2 hours. 7 passengers were on board at the time and had to be evacuated. 31 flights were affected, with some delayed and others diverted to different airports. The runway has reopened. Well, if you've ever wondered what King Charles listens to in his spare time, now you know. The monarch is partnering with Apple Music, putting out his own personal playlist of songs that lift his spirits.
Songs which have brought me joy. This seemed such an interesting and innovative way to celebrate this year's Commonwealth Day. Thank you for listening.
It includes classic tracks from our own pop princess Kylie Minogue and Bob Marley's Could You Be Loved. A special birthday has been celebrated this afternoon. Mary Snape, who lives at a nursing home in Sydney, turned 105 this week and today was surrounded by family who love that she's always happy and positive.
Trying to be cheerful, if only for a while, but a little bit of cheerfulness is always worthwhile.
Mary was born in England in 1920, served in the Land Army during World War II and had 5 children with husband Walter. Let's go to sport now with Adrian Barrich. And Barrow, the Dockers say they can still sign Chad Warner.
Hi, Ange. Yes, that's right. And after his effort last night against the Hawks, both WA clubs would be salivating. That's next. Plus, Adam Simpson on Oscar Allen's future at the Eagles. Stunning win over the Swans, an injury blow. And Mr. Brightside upstaged as a new All-Star emerges at Flemington. Former West Coast Eagles coach Adam Simpson is confident out-of-contract co-captain Oscar Allen wants to remain an Eagle in 2026. The 25-year-old is yet to re-sign with the club, though, and has been linked to Hawthorn and Brisbane.
He wants to stay, so I'm just hoping they work it out. There's some things I can't talk about because it's not the right thing to do. You know, I'm still pretty close, obviously, to my exit. But let's hope they can work it out.
And current Eagles coach Andrew McWalter says Elijah Hewitt is recovering well from a quad injury and he should be available for next Sunday's season opener against the Suns. And Fremantle Chief Executive Simon Garlick has left the door open to recruit both Chad Warner and Cozzy Pickett at the end of the season. The Dockers have been linked to both West Aussie players and they're hunting a maiden premiership.
We've managed our TP in a really effective way and we've got opportunities to again be active in that market, but in terms of the numbers and the absolute specifics of players, obviously I'll keep that up our sleeve for now.
The Dockers bolstered their list in the off-season, of course, adding star recruit Shea Bolton as well. And one game into the 2025 season and Hawthorn has rocketed to premiership favourites thanks to a stunning best-on-ground performance from Will Day last night. But the 20-point win over the Swans, it did come at a cost.
Touching down in Melbourne on the winners list, taking home Sam Mitchell's first coaching victory at the SCG.
My heart rate wouldn't go down at all for the whole game, so I thought the players did a fantastic job of handling the pressure of the game.
We've come up here a few times over the last few years and been challenged quite a bit. Sydney, great team and have been for a long time. SCG, always a tough ground to come and win at.
The Hawks started last season 0-5, proving a lot can change in a year.
At training, we didn't bring the intensity and we weren't trying hard enough, and we know if we don't try hard enough as a football club, we're not going to be able to perform in any type of game. So I think the mentality was that training's going to get tougher, then games hopefully they get easier, and that's what we felt like.
There seems to be no stopping the hype of the Hollywood Hawks. One win in and bookies already have them as flag favourites.
Everyone's talking us up, so to be able to perform under pressure is something that we're going to have to get used to, so it was good that we could do that first up.
If anyone can help get them there, it's Will Day. The star midfielder was back to his best on his return from a collarbone injury, booting 3 goals.
Off the deck, Day! Something out of nothing!
Yeah, I feel really confident in my body, which is a nice change. I finally got to the point where I'm trying to shred back a bit of weight, which is really foreign to me.
Last night, James Warple was optimistic about his ankle injury, arriving home today with a moon boot and crutch. The club now awaiting scan results.
I had a similar ankle last year, if that's what it is, and I was 2, and as we know with these things, it can be a massive range based on the player. So yeah, he's had an amazing summer and he's probably been our best mid over the pre-season games.
The Hawks now turning their attention to the Bombers, who they'll take on next Friday night. Kate Massey, 7 News.
GWS skipper Toby Green has brushed off suggestions his side could win the flag this year. The Giants' season kicks off tomorrow night against Collingwood in the second round of opening round.
It's a good thing in a way that people have faith in us, but we probably don't deserve to be favourites, I don't think.
The Giants will be without Jesse Hogan, Tom Green and Jake Stringer, while the Pies flew into Sydney near full strength. Braden Maynard is tracking well after overcoming foot soreness. Jordan De Goey remains sidelined, though, with knee bruising. And there's been a boil-over in the Group 1 All-Star Mile at Flemington today, with favourite Mr Brightside pipped at the post by Tom Kitten.
Mr Brightside at the 200. Here's Tom Kitten on the outside. Another Will got chopped out. Mr Brightside just in front, has to fight. Tom Kitten coming at him. Tom Kitten claws away and wins. Tom Kitten won the All-Star Mile from Mr Brightside.
It's the first All-Star Mile win for trainer James Cummings. And Jason Day has surged into contention at the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Did you say a good day for Day? Yeah. Is it going to get there?
Yeah.
Wow. Today it is.
The Aussie fired a second round low, 64 to sit 4 shots off leader Shane Lowry. And WA lead New South Wales by 144 runs after 3 days of the Shield match at the Wacker. Lance Morris took 5 wickets, while in their second innings, WA are 2 for 209. Hilton Cartwright and Cam Bancroft with a huge partnership. Great century from Cartwright. And we leave you now on a high with the Telethon kids visiting Eagles headquarters recently with a special escort from former West Coast cult hero Nick Natanui and many of the club's brightest young players as well. The Eagles have 20 players under 22 and they gave the kids a guided tour of their facilities at Mineral Resources Park in Lathlane, putting smiles on the faces of these little West Aussies and their families, and it was a heartwarming experience. Moments like these highlight the power of community, and you can join us on the 18th and 19th of October for the Telethon weekend, a celebration of hope, resilience and the power of coming together to make a difference. Together we can change lives and help these wonderful WA kids to thrive. That's so good. Great scenes. Ange, that's all in sport. Back to you.
They sure are. Thanks very much, Barrett. Mostly. And Charlotte Goodlett will have your full forecast after the break.
Susanna Carr and Rick Arden. They've been there with you every night at 6 o'clock.
Good evening and welcome to 7 News.
For 40 years. For every historic moment. Because nobody knows news like Rick and Sue.
Local games, local commentators.
And you may have copped a bit of drizzle if you were out early casting your vote. A couple of millimetres recorded in our western suburbs and another millimetre or so in the Swan Valley. So nothing overly heavy, and it all cleared up by this afternoon. And it was around 2 p.m. that we hit our maximum of just shy of 27 degrees. Nowhere in the metro area got past 30. Ellenbrook got close. 27 was the top in Armidale. Mandurah made it to 25 and 24 was our top in Hillary's. Now it was very warm through our Pilbara interior and the Goldfields today. It hit 40 in Kalgoorlie, Esperance hot too at 37, and a mild day in Margaret River getting to 21 degrees. Now a little earlier in the bulletin we saw the wild weather being caused by ex-tropical Cyclone Alfred. We can see it sitting off the coast. It is incredibly slow moving and it's expected to cross the Queensland coast a little later tonight, bringing a lot more rain. Its path then is still a little bit uncertain, but one thing is looking for sure. Wet again in Brisbane tomorrow. A shower or two in Sydney, Melbourne getting to 35 and hotter in Adelaide, a top of 36. Back in the west, we're looking at some showers or storms through our interior and some drizzle as well in our south. Geraldton's got a windy day on the way and 35 will be the top in Port Hedland, 34 in Broome. Southeasterly winds to 20 knots on Perth waters tomorrow morning, increasing to 25 knot southerlies in the afternoon and season swell to around 2 metres. It will be a cooler evening tonight. It's been about a month since we got down to 14 degrees overnight. We're then heading for a sunny top of 26. Back in the 30s though to start the week, and then we'll reach 35 degrees by Tuesday. It drops back into the high 20s by Wednesday, and on Thursday we could see a shower. Back to you at State Parliament, Ange.
Thanks, Charlotte. Before we go, these are tonight's winning lotto numbers. They are 28, 18, 38 to 16 and 29. The supplementaries are 25 and 4. Those numbers again, 28, 18, 38 to 16, 29. The sups, 25 and 4. And that's 7 News now from State Parliament. Let's take you to WA Decides 2025, hosted by Tim McMillan.